Good Saturday evening. Welcome to the David and Chuck Show with Coach 8. Man, football. How was everyone tonight on January the 4th? I still have COVID.
I'm good.
I'm fine. Cold, though. Some
Well,
cold.
Okay. Jonathan, I'm at the studio at the house. Where are you at? You at your studio at your house?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys getting snow up tonight?
Where you at?
About some undisclosed place. We won't go into that right now, will we?
Hey, listen, we hope everybody's fine. And before we get going, just want to make sure that and we've got friends down there. We've got somebody down in New Orleans he's like another son to me. Lloyd and his wife and mom are down there, and we got some other friends down in the New Orleans area, and we've been thinking about you. We've been worried about you, and we hope everybody down there continues to get safe and heal from that disgusting event that happened the other night. Just want to make sure that we, as a group here, let everybody know we're thinking about you down there. So anyway, let's move on and talk a little college football. We're going to talk a little college basketball too. Quarterfinals. We talked about the Penn State Boise State game the other night, so we're not going to spend a ton of time on that one, other than the fact that Coach Franklin has won two. Now look, they didn't play world beaters, but he won two big games, and so. But we're fixing to learn a lot more on the 9th. But congratulations to Penn State. They're playing well. I still don't think they're world beaters. I think you guys think they're a little better than I do. But they can play really good defense.
Well, they're fixing to go up against a real good football team. Got.
Yeah, and we're
about
going.
Quarter and a half into the game when I sat there and said that Coach 8 was right. Everything he said about Notre Dame, man, that's a different. Yep. That's just a different team.
And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But anyway, congratulations to the Nittany Lions. And I saw the thing that you sent, Chuck, where they tore down their press box and all that stuff. They imploded it today up there. And so, yeah, it's not Neyland Stadium, so I don't care. It's a dump. The game that I loved right here, Texas and Arizona State. What a great football game. And I'm going to tell you, and you can sit here, we'll argue all day long. I will vehemently argue with you guys. That is targeting. Any way, shape, manner, or form, that is garbage that they didn't make the call. You shake your head all you want. I disagree.
Okay, so here's the thing. You're gonna talk about targeting. I can talk. We have no script here. We just all right. Here's the thing.
Oh, I'm the script.
Well, wait. Chuck says he's the script. He stole that.
Okay. All right. So listen. If he tackles him. If he tackles him before the ball's there, is it pass interference?
Yes.
No, the ball was tipped. So the ball was tipped. So get out of your head that it was targeting. Just like
these defenses.
No, because it slowed the player down and it changed the angle. It's the same and I'm glad they didn't call it. I'm pissed off that they called it against Boston College against Nebraska in the bowl game when the Patrick Mahomes wannabe guy, quarterback over there, slid 2 feet from the defender. What do you want the defender to do? Just because you're rooting for a team doesn't mean that the call should go that way. If the ball's not tipped, yes, it's targeting. I agree. But with the ball being tipped, it changes the angle of the play, the timing of the play. That's why it's not targeting.
Okay.
Same thing with pass interference.
Chuck,
What?
your thoughts real quick because I want to talk about the game.
It wasn't targeting.
God, you two, if I didn't have COVID, I would drive to Winston-Salem and I would pull a flint on your house. And you know what I mean when I say that. And Jonathan would not be able to drive tomorrow morning, but I can't get out.
Yeah.
So you're lucky I'm sick.
Okay.
Both of you. You're low lifes. I love you, but you're wrong. But
Okay.
man, look, what an seriously, what an exciting football game. Both teams gave it everything, played their hearts out. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know what round you draft him, but if I am a general manager of a football team in the National Football League, Scatterboo's playing for me. Scatterboo is playing for me. He is. Look, the dude is a warrior. He is a football player.
I get it, but where does he? Here's the thing: at the next level, where does he fit in position-wise?
I'd put him back there and let him carry the football.
Hey, see, he's not fast enough to be a tailback.
Don't read between the tackles.
He's not fast enough to be a tailback. He's tough as nails. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not. But he's such a tweener. He's fast enough to be a tailback, but he's not fast enough to be a slot receiver. Right? His hands are good. You're right, he is tough. He's fun to watch. I just don't know where you put him at that level.
Would he'd be on your team though?
He'd be a special teams guy. He's sure. I'm not. The game's on the line. The game's on the line. But I can find a special teams guy anywhere. See what I'm saying?
Chime in, Chuck.
He's got to. No, hey, like I said, I like watching him play. I just don't know at that level where he fits in. Now, college team, you build around him. You build the program around him, 100%.
I agree with Jonathan in that you're talking college is a much
He froze
lower
up
level.
on us there.
Okay. I agree with Jonathan that college is a much lower level. When you get up there with 30 teams and you think you're going to run through people, you ain't going to last. It's like
the ones that can do that are Derrick Henry. He's 6'3", 250.
Right. And he's 5'11", 230 or whatever, 240, maybe 260. I don't know. He's that low center of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 times in that game, he got hit hard by just Texas players. And I don't know if they're even NFL players, but he gets hit like that in the NFL and goes and takes those shots. His career is going to be short and brief. And that, as is all running backs, is short.
Yep, they have a very short. Their shelf life is short.
Right. I love the kid on the collegiate level. He could be a great one. But, we have Heisman Trophy quarterbacks that run all over the place and get into the NFL, and it's like
it's a different world, different level. Like I said, I'm with you. He is a warrior. He plays hard. He's tough as hell. I just don't know where he fits is what I'm getting at. Would he have a chance to make the team? Yeah. But I mean, trust me, I can go find a tight end that can move just as good as him to be on PAT block. I can go find a linebacker that can go laterally just as good as him that now can give me some backup reps on defense and play every special teams. That's the hard part for him. And I'm not trying to make it a knock on him because you can't help your height or your physical stature to an extent. Throwing on my opinion watching that game, I thought he proved himself to be more valuable than the kid at Boise. I did.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
That one because I think he is more versatile than the kid at Boise. But the kid at Boise is a straight downhill inside zone counter tailback, and that fits in a Kyle Shanahan style offense, and he would fit in very well with the system like that at the NFL. But I don't. When he finally played a team that was that had a decent defense, even though Penn State's is better than decent, you saw what happened. Well, Scadaboo goes out there against Texas, who had one of the top 5 defenses in the country. And what did he have, like 270 or 50, 60, 70, 80, something like that? 200, we'll call it
252 yards.
There you go, of total offense. I got to give him credit. I just don't know where he fits at the next level. That's all. The college game? Oh, college game? Sign this dude up, give him whatever he wants, NIL deal. Build the program around him, make every billboard him. At the next level, I just don't know where he fits in.
Okay.
Who knows?
Talk to me about Texas, guys. Ewers.
He won him the game. Bottom line. He had calm, cool, collective composure. All the momentum swung in Arizona State's favor. And then he went out there and took a deep breath and just played. And great play call on the 4th down, by the way. Phenomenal way to set up the safety. Got him. But 4th and 13, he didn't flinch. He stood back there, made the throw, went to overtime. Once again, didn't flinch. Same thing for him, though. He doesn't look like a first 2-round quarterback to me. So that's why I do think
he's coming. He'll come back next year, probably, but not at Texas.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think he comes back and transfers, because I don't think he's a first 2-round guy yet.
Yeah.
But I mean,
great football game to watch. Gentlemen, do you agree with that?
That was the best. That was the best game of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And Chuck, Chuck, give me an answer here before I want you to answer this question. Was Texas exposed in any way, or was Arizona State just gonna lay it on the line and it made no difference in the 4th quarter as they win?
Okay, at 24-8, Texas was in command of that game, but Arizona State, because of so many times in the red zone coming away with no points or inside the 10 with no points, if they would have scored field goals and touchdowns, it would be maybe a 24-17 game. But with that said, I thought Arizona State put the game on Scadaboo's shoulders and said, we're just got nothing to lose and we're going to go all out. And it paid off for them. And as the game got closer and tied, I think
very entertaining, and but I still think Texas, and we're going to talk about them here in a minute as they get into the next round. Texas is a good football team. I just don't know how good.
Well, here's the thing. And we can talk about this real fast. We said it when they're playing Clemson. I've said it all year about Texas. With their defense and their safeties, I like the Taft guy, number 16. Great story, former walk-on, second-team All-American now, playing his butt off. He's not a middle field safety, though, okay?
Boy, we get a lot of intermittent cutouts. Go ahead.
That's fine. He's not a middle field safety. They play cover 4, which means every corner, safety, corner, play 1/4 of the field. Cover 4 is a run-stopping defense. They play cover 4 because he is a downhill guy. It works against Clemson when you have a quarterback that wants to run. It works against Arizona State against a quarterback and a really good running back. And now you're playing against the best receiving core plus best running back duo in the country. You ain't got no chance in the secondary. If Texas doesn't score 48, it ain't gonna win.
Well, we're good. Don't get ahead of us. So then we had the game that I said was the 2 best teams in the country.
No,
if that was the 2 best teams in the country, then we don't need to play the other 2-3 football games.
Oh, sorry.
Ohio State came out, guys, and just dominated. And it 41-21 was the final, and it wasn't that close.
Good.
It was not that close at all.
They could have scored 70.
Yeah. they were up 7-0, 2 minutes into the ball game at the Rose Bowl, and it was pretty much over from that point on.
Mhm.
And that's not a slight against Oregon. They're just, whatever we saw against Michigan, I think goes back to what Chuck has mentioned and we had talked about before. Day is so caught up in the physicality of saying Michigan's tougher than us that they didn't play to their strengths. And the last 2 weeks, man, they're a different level.
Well, Ohio
They could
State,
go right now. I think they could beat the Indianapolis Colts today.
well, no, don't go that far. It's a different grown man strength. I'll say it that way.
Okay.
But Ohio State has the only thing they can thank for this is Michigan. Michigan woke them up. It's that simple. Michigan woke them up. If they beat Michigan, do they still beat Tennessee? Yes. Do they beat Oregon that bad? No. Because they're going, we have no flaws, blah, 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 blah. I think that Michigan lost. The country is screwed because of it. The best team in the country is Ohio State. I said it even after they lost to Oregon. The best side of the college football playoff bracket has been I say side, but the middle part is the Ohio State bracket and the Oregon bracket, right? Or in the Texas bracket. Sorry, Ohio State and Texas. Though that top part,
Yep.
was the best part of the bracket. The Penn State and the Notre Dame side is the old school. We're run heavy. We don't throw the ball very well. We play really solid defense, but we're not going to score a lot of points to beat you unless you're a bad defense. That's why. So to me, the whole time the winner was coming from the upper half of the bracket. And where's Ohio State? Upper half of the bracket. I mean, to me, the winner, Texas, Ohio State is the national champion. In my opinion.
Your thoughts, Chucky, on the Ohio State-Oregon game?
It was a surprise because I didn't think Oregon could play down to that level, but it was more of seeing Ohio State just on a mission. And there's nothing that Jonathan said that you can argue with. Ohio State is showing right now that they're the best football team in the country. And they demonstrated that against the number one team for most of the year in Oregon and in the Rose Bowl. So the bottom line is that you got a team playing angry for all the reasons Jonathan said, and that's in Ohio State. And you got a team that came in there just really not knowing what they were going to do. It was as if they never seen any of that in the game that they first played. You think you would have known them. It's like that was the first time they played Ohio State. I was very disappointed in Oregon's performance.
And now they've got to go find a quarterback for next year, but that's another story. And in the Georgia Notre Dame game, and real quick, something else happened, and I don't know if you guys are aware. Coach Smart's father fell down and broke his hip around the Superdome sometime the day before the game, I guess. And his father had complications from the surgery and passed away, I think this morning or last night. So condolences to Coach Smart and his brothers and sisters and mom. So he's had a tough few days. But for on the football game, the one thing that I said was that their back seven was good. Notre Dame's back seven was difference makers. And man, did they play that way. I know this kid was a freshman quarterback, and I know that, and when I say this, the garbage and I'm going to offend some people, but you know what? It is what it is. The garbage that comes out of Birmingham with that Feinbaum just is it's not even journalism. It's just it to me. It's weekday night Sean Hannity bullshit is what I think it is. He just the garbage that comes out of there, the stuff about these kids, the stuff about these coaches, and the stuff that he said in the last 48 hours about this about Georgia, about the stuff coming out of Alabama. That's the reason that people like Chuck, just when they see the opening from the SEC, they don't just because again our group text is man, if there's salt in the wound on the SEC right now, Chuck has had to go back to the salt factory for refills, not to go to the store to say, hey, I need another box of salt. He's had to find the salt factory to reload. But
here's the thing.
Well, at the end of the day, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
I'm commenting on this. Welcome to the SEC. Bottom line is Lane Kiffin's got t-shirt or sweatshirts. Other coaches wear them too. But it's different. If you win 9 games and want to fire you, that's the price you pay when you go to the SEC. It's that simple. You want to go to the SEC but outside of like Vandy or outside of Mississippi State, or you know what I'm saying, like a place like that. If you want to go to a perennial powerhouse, along with the $10 to $12 million a year, comes with them calling for your job. Tough shit is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because if they want to fire him, I don't think they should. If they want to fire him, he's going to take home $70 million. He'll be perfectly fine. But I agree with you. I agree with you on the journalism part. But here's the thing. You can go one of two ways. You can get upset about it, or you can go, we're on your mind, so you got to talk about us. It's that simple. Ain't nobody talking about crap from the Big 12, the ACC, and the Big 10, except the ACC got a 150 win percentage in bowl games. Nobody cares.
That's bad. Was it 2-11 now?
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? That's the way that I look at it. Is
before I went off on my tangent, I just want to say that the kid that played quarterback for Georgia, well, let me get back. The reason I said the thing about Feinbaum is they put the whole blame on Bobo for the play call at the end of the first half when he got hit from behind and fumbled. They said that's not on Smart, that's on Bobo, and he needs to be fired. And again, what right does he have to say that?
And I don't disagree, but let's call it like it is. I can go down a rabbit hole with this. I can start naming my name. Where Adam Schefter I've been in an exit meeting with the Washington now Commanders where Adam Schefter came in there and literally said, I got my start as a beat writer in Denver. I became friends with Mike Shanahan and got to know him. He goes, anything that I report has been told to me. I don't know this. I didn't play football. It's the same crap. The negativity sells.
But anyway, I want to get back to the game.
Let me finish. And in today's world, it's clickbait. It's that simple. They need you to click on the article so their company gets paid, so they get paid. It's all garbage. It's all crap. And trust me, it's been written about me. It is what it is. It's all, it's water off a duck's back. Who cares? Because if you want to go down that rabbit hole, then why did 17, the safety, when he jumped to take his arms down on the touchdown pass the very next play? That looked like covering a spread to me, right? But I'm not going to go out there and tweet that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Did you see that play, Chuck?
Yep.
Yeah. So the ball game itself, I thought that Georgia was the aggressor in the first half. I thought that they were trying to take it to Notre Dame, but the back seven, and 2 of those back 7, if you'll read right there with our dear friend John Taylor, were on his 2021 Irvington State Championship team. Hey, you owe Chuck and I rings. You keep talking about it. I still want my ring. I said it. Chuck will say it.
We went out and recruited for him. Nobody's supposed to know that.
But I thought Georgia really took it to them. But because of that back seven, they were never able to finish the drive. And I think the best unit on that football field was the back seven from Notre Dame. Thoughts, guys?
That's what I've been saying for a long time. Georgia's receivers, not very good. They're not. Let's call it like it is. They lead the nation in drops for a reason, is what it is. Kid dropped wide open down the sideline, get us back in the ball game ball. Notre Dame's, like I've said for weeks, Notre Dame's secondary. They're fast, they're physical. But the bottom line is, it was very evident to me that Stockton, decent talent. He's got zero touch. It's try to throw the ball through a car wash without getting wet every throw. All right, he's throwing a bubble or a 5-yard hitch, the same velocity and everything as he's trying to throw a 75-yard go ball. Which goes back to, that's coaching though. I liked Mike Bobo back in the day, but everywhere Mike Bobo's been, have they ever got over the hump? No. It's just what it is. Georgia, before he went to Colorado State as a head coach. Colorado State, obviously, I get that's a hard place to win, but guys doing it now. Auburn and South Carolina, never got over the hump. Now he's back at Georgia, never got over the hump. There's obviously something there because the way that kid played, I don't know if it's just because he had so much vinegar in his piss. I don't know. But, like, take a deep breath, make this simple throws, and take what they give you. Every time he threw a slant, he threw it like he was throwing a dig of 15-yard in route versus two-man coverage with underneath cut, like when they're undercutting it, and then you got a back shoulder between the other linebacker. Like, God almighty, dude. So if I'm from the outside looking in, Georgia's going to go find them a quarterback. They don't win 10 games with that kid. I think he's tough as hell. I think he's a competitor, but I don't think he's going to win you 10 games in the SEC. I just don't. I really
Chucky,
don't.
Thoughts on it? The game?
On the game, I thought Notre Dame surprised a lot of people and did not expect it, although Coach 8 did. And again, I'll repeat, is that we got about halfway through the second quarter, and I went, boy, he was on him. Should have listened to him. But I thought that it's not so much you're playing with quarterback, and I thought there was a flatness, this backup quarterback situation. I thought there was a flatness out of Georgia. And I thought there was a mission, again, a team on a mission that ended up capitalizing on mistakes and winning by 13, whereas Arizona State played like they were on a mission but couldn't get it past that tie, had to go in overtime and eventually lost it. So, but I just was impressed with Notre Dame and their head coach, Marcus Freeman, and the staff at what they did and the talent of their players.
Yes.
Riley Leonard he's a good quarterback.
He's an athlete, not a quarterback.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. An athlete playing quarterback and a very intelligent young man, and you root for those kind of guys. But golly, Miss Molly, is that the talent surrounding him, and I go back to what Lane Kiffin said when he came to Tennessee to muzzle all that craziness in the media at the first press conference. He said the quarterback is only as good as the talent around him.
Oh, it's so true.
And Riley Leonard's got tremendous talent around him. Gunnar Stockton, I think he had depleted. It's almost like you're watching a bunch of freshmen and sophomores running around trying to figure out, for Georgia, running around trying to figure out how to play this game.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they belonged. It's just You know,
it was very evident they were better with Carson Beck.
right. So with that in mind, I walked away more impressed with Notre Dame and more impressed with Arizona State, and on the quarterfinal games.
Yep.
I
So
go
that-
on that game though. It just clicked in my head was I do remember saying I do think that kid had a chance of being better than Carson Beck. Blah blah blah. Look what he did in the SEC championship game. Well, they weren't preparing for him in the SEC championship game. Texas didn't take time out of their week to go, well, hey, what if this Stockton kid goes in? How are we going to play him? So he caught Texas by surprise. Well, Notre Dame had 3 weeks or whatever it was to get ready for him. 2 weeks, whatever it was, knowing he was going to play. So if you notice, they stacked the box and said, hope you can make the throw, big dog. Hope you can do this. And not to say that he can't. I just don't. If I'm a betting man, I bet Georgia goes out and either finds Georgia's either going to have a true freshman come in, or they're going to go find somebody in the portal to make sure that they get the best quarterback on the field. It's just, there's really no other way to me, for really no other way to say that, because I don't think that. I don't think, I'm not saying they shouldn't have been there. I wasn't impressed. I really wasn't. I was not impressed with anything about Georgia whatsoever.
So that takes us to Thursday night, January the 9th at 7:30 on ESPN. The Nittany Lions and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame, surprisingly to me, because I thought of their offense, but when I think of their defense, and especially that back seven, and this is the first time I've ever done this, but you two are the experts. They're a 1.5 point to 2 point favorite, depending on what service you look at, over Penn State. My thoughts are, if Notre Dame can run the football, I think their defensively, I think they are better than Penn State offensively.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I don't know that this, I don't think this is going to be some 40-40 game.
Oh,
and I just think that there's just something about what Coach Freeman has these guys believing since they lost that game that shocked everyone. That we thought that, and I remember us talking, their season's over. They're done. And I said that. Notre Dame is finished. And what he has done since then to get these guys to believe, I think that their quarterback is the epitome of what a quarterback should be, is a leader. Those guys will go to battle for him. They want to be in the foxhole with him. But their back seven is special. I see Notre Dame winning the football game.
Well, hold on. This clicked. I meant to say this a minute ago about the Georgia Notre Dame game. You know something that really stood out to me? Did y'all watch Texas Mississippi State when Ewers was hurt? All right, did y'all watch the game the other day?
Yes.
What was Carson Beck doing?
Say that again.
What was Carson Beck doing the other day?
I thought he was helping.
He had his earpiece standing there.
He's just chilling, right? No emotion, no going around helping, nothing. Quinn Ewers, when he was injured, was the first one to talk to Arch Manning off the field. First one to high five his teammates when something good happened, blah, 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 blah. That's another reason why Notre Dame beat them. Not Carson Beck issue, but I'm just saying, like, if you notice, Georgia doesn't have it doesn't look like they got a lot of camaraderie when it comes to hey, I've been in bad quarterback rooms. Quarterback room is arguably the most cutthroat room of any position in any sport because only one plays. But you know what? There is something to be said, especially when you've already declared for the draft and you're not coming back and you're not out there helping. Like, if I'm an NFL GM and I saw that, cool. I know what I'm getting. Same thing with Caleb Williams last year. I wouldn't have drafted his butt, but whatever. But that stood out to me the other night.
He made a bad decision, but that's not.
Yeah, but I mean that stood out to me the other night. But if you notice, the Notre Dame team is opposite of that. So I'm now leading into this other game, the semifinal. Notre Dame's defense is light years better than Penn State's offense at the moment. So I'm going to read you some stats from Boise State. Boise, I'm telling you this, it ain't like Boise State's defense is world beaters. They're good. They ain't world beaters. The quarterback was 13 of 25 for 171 and 3 touchdowns, right? But the 3 touchdowns, so barely 50% completion. And the 3 touchdowns were no farther. Like one was a really good ball, the first one. The other one, he just threw it up to his guy. You know, see what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't – there was no – after the first 2 drives, they did not look good. That's why I've got advantage Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame, personally, if I'm them, I do the exact same thing I did against Georgia. I'm going to stack the box with my safeties, and I'm going to say, you're going to have to be better than me out wide, and I don't think you are. I got Notre Dame winning, and I got Notre Dame, Ohio State in the Natty. Say it that way.
Mr. Fiebernitz?
The more we read and study and analyze and break down film and all this stuff, for me, the more I realize I don't know jack. And didn't give Arizona State a chance, and they proved me wrong. I thought Georgia was gonna. It really didn't give Notre Dame a chance, and I was wrong there. So, if I'm looking from that standpoint, is that it seems to be going contrary to what I think. Is that I do like Penn State to beat Notre Dame, and I like Texas to upset because of the camaraderie and the tightness of Texas. I think that, you know, there's going to be a disappointment again. You can stay mad only so long, and I see Texas winning a shootout.
I could definitely see the Texas-Ohio State game.
Well, let me go back. So you got whoa. You've got the Nittany Lions over the Irish.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I heard that because I think it's going to be a close football game. And,
I think it's
go ahead, Jonathan.
I looked up the over/under. So it's 46.5 points for combined score. Take the under. Take the under. Neither offense can go out there and just light it up. And I root for Penn State because I don't really like Notre Dame. But I every time I watch Penn State play, I go, when is Drew Aller excuse me, gonna make when is he gonna make that throw? When is he gonna throw it high over the middle? When is he gonna throw a wide open drag route? He's gonna throw it behind the guy for a pick. When is that gonna happen? Because it's gonna happen. He does it every game. The past 2 games, SMU Boise. We've said it since the day the bracket came out. If Penn State did not make it to the Final Four, they messed up. Now they're about to play really good defense. So to me, that's the reason why I got Notre Dame is I feel like he's just going to make a random ass mistake and it not even be a mistake. It's just an errant throw because he's not coached on fundamentals, and how to use his body positioning, all that stuff. Whatever, that's a whole different conversation. That's the reason why. Because I don't unless Notre Dame is down, Notre Dame's not going to drop back and throw the ball 30 times. They're going to run it, and they're going to run their quarterback.
So that's going to take us on to the final game, which is on Friday the 10th at 7:30, and that is Texas and Ohio State. And real quick, before we do that, Chuck and I were talking before the show, and it's that time of year, and we've all been good, and we all know people that do things that they shouldn't do, and they all go see, and so real quick. And like Chuck said, they make you feel guilty. You've got to buy your cookies because they make you feel guilty, even if you don't want them. Because what did you tell the girl, Chuck?
My cardiologist won't let me eat those. Or buy them for somebody else.
And how are you going to tell the 8-year-old kid, no, I'm not buying your cookies?
And they come up with $5 a box, and they come up with the line, we're having a special 2 boxes for 10.
So I looked up the stats. Riley Leonard rushed for 80 yards, and he only threw for 90 the other day, and they won. Guys, this is going to take the under if you're betting. Take the under.
So Texas and Ohio State. Ohio State's a 5.5 to 6 point favorite, depending on whatever outlet or service that you read. Man, I will tell you. After Michigan, I was, the stuff we were laughing, and I had the stuff on here with Day and all that. A man, when he's wrong, you tip your hat and you say, you look people in the eye and say, I messed up and I was wrong. And I will tell you that Ohio State is a phenomenal football team.
So can I say that I can say I wasn't wrong? Because I called it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You weren't wrong.
You were not wrong. And you said that before the brackets were even, because I know that you were so agitated because you kept saying they're going to get the Vols to have to play them in the first round. Because you knew that if they avoided, Tennessee's probably in the semifinals playing somebody to get in.
If they avoided Ohio State. If they avoided Ohio State. Guys, Ohio State, they have three receivers you can't cover. Then they got 2 tailbacks that you can't do anything with. The quarterback at Ohio State, with a team like this, just has to be a facilitator. You don't got to be a Heisman winner or a world beater. Just don't mess up. Just put the ball out there, let our guys make a play. And he has done a tremendous job.
And he sure carries himself well, and those kids play hard for him too. Yeah. But I give that staff, Day and that staff, so much credit because, man, the garbage that they were taking from everybody, he was off the charts bad. Mm-hmm. So I don't, look, I don't really care who wins that game. I'd like, but man, I don't see Texas being able to beat them. I just
Texas
don't.
Is going to have to. Well, here, I'll do it this way. What is the over-under is 53? Take the over. Take the over because for Texas to win, they got to score 48. This is my opinion. They got to score 48 to win. And I don't know if you can score 48 because that means scoring 48 points means you only have about one drive where you can't be perfect. Because Ohio State's going to score 49 or more. They're that good. They could have scored 70 the other night, and they didn't.
I sworn off gambling until the 9th. But anyhow.
But that's my thing. I think Ewers keeps them in the ball. Ewers keeps them in the ball game as long as possible. The winner of this game wins the national championship. Let's just call it like it is. Both of these teams have the 3 best wide receivers on both teams. Just what it is. You've got Smith, Igbuka, and Tate at Ohio State. You got Wingo, true freshman, another dude. Golden and Isaiah Bond. This is going to be a freaking shootout. A shootout. The odd man out, and the one to watch that could be a game changer though is Helm, Texas's tight end.
He's good.
If they're worried about the receivers, you got him on a linebacker. So it's going to be interesting, but I think the winner of this game wins it all.
Mr. Fibernitz?
Well, I like the over 48. I think that going into it, like I said, is that knowing Ohio State as I do, you can only play so angry, and then there's a let off, and I think it's this. Will the Ohio State that played Michigan show up and play Texas? Did Texas get a wake up call? I think I'm learning my lesson from not giving Arizona State a chance, and they made their chance. I think Texas has, and I'm very impressed with Johnson's observations on Ewers. I think he's right on that, and I think they're more centered. And Ohio State is telling us that they're a tight team. But again, remember now, after the Michigan game, they had an all-out blowout, WWE blowout meeting where it was loud and it was pointing fingers, and that's not a team close. And that sticks with me as we go forward into the real tight game. So I'm going to say Texas in a shocker, because the better team is Ohio State, but Texas in a shocker. They're going to find a way.
But you know what, though? I don't call it a shock. I wouldn't call it a shocker. I think they're two really good football teams. Right. I just think, but I don't think, for me, I don't know that I would call it, and I'm not trying to take words out of your mouth. That's just, when you say the word shocker, for me, I go, I don't know.
David,
but they can win.
Ohio State won the first game by 25 points. They won the second game by 21 points or 20 points, and really could have won by 60 points.
Could have won both. They could have won both of those by 60.
Right. So here you got it. It's easy. So when you come in and play Ohio State, and if you beat Ohio State after dominating the first round and the second game, the quarterfinal games, that's a shocker. Because
I can see that, though. Now that you say it that way, I see what you're saying. But Texas is a damn good team.
Right.
That's so I'm most excited to watch that game.
It's gonna be fun.
They are, after all, a long time SEC member.
Yes.
Been with the SEC for a long time. So one of their blue bloods.
Yep. 48 weeks. And so and speaking of the SEC, all you've heard about the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, and from Chuck, all we've heard about since preseason, since last year, since the year before, is, oh my God, how horrible they are. They're just in the numbers, they're leaving, and all that good stuff. The thing here's the deal. And if I do agree with Coach Saban in how he said it, and I agree with a lot of the other pundits that usually I just think are idiots. Mm-hmm. Where we're getting even now is in depth, because the guys that initially signed in the SEC, when they get there and you figure out, I'm not going to play, and I'm good enough to play, and I don't want to sit for 1, 2, or 3 years. A majority of those kids leave, and they go somewhere else, and they end up playing. The depth, that is where the field is level. At least I believe that. I'm going to throw it to you guys and have an open discussion with you guys.
To an extent, yeah. But the depth only gets equal with the top 10 schools in the country because they're the ones that can spend the most. We'll get on that in a minute though about that comment. But the depth only it evens out with the top 10 spenders. Everybody else, it doesn't even out. It's taken away from them. I don't agree with these coaches going, oh, well, I'm just tired of having – before I say that, I need a preference. I do think they should get paid. How they're doing it now, way too far, way too quick. Don't agree with the whole deal. But I don't agree with coaches going, well, I just don't want to do this. I can't believe this. I'm going to retire, blah, blah, blah. Well, shove it up your rear end there, big dog, because you were able to leave at any moment you wanted to. You've never had to abide by your 5 years left on your contract. So don't go crying to mama when the players get to do it. You can shove it up your rear end just like everybody else. This is the way that I look at it. So all these coaches that are crying, oh, well, this, and this. Dude at Boise State retires because we can't recruit with him more. Then go somewhere else. It's pretty simple. If you're so good, go somewhere else like your player is. You want to retire because, well, this isn't the old days. You want me to tell you what I was offered back in the day by these coaches that are quitting? So don't sit here and act all high and mighty as these coaches. That's what I don't like. So to me, players, go get all you can get. Be as flashy.
Again, you're not talking about what we're talking about.
No,
we're talking about the depth leaving the Southeastern Conference.
Let me finish. I can go on a rant too. You went on a rant a minute ago. Right? Where go get what you can get. So it is about our conversation. Leave the SEC school to go to the Big Ten or the ACC. Take that money. Get that car. Get that wire transfer to your bank account. Because I promise you, that coach don't give a damn about you. Not one bit does that coach care about you. Get what you can get. Leave when you want to leave. So all the fans that go, well, this isn't, you know what? That's the new age. Get with it or don't. I'm sorry. It ain't my call. I'm not the one that said to go that this was legal. I don't agree with everything they've done. But so it goes back to, it is. It's only leveling out the depth of the top 10 spenders. I mean, it is what it is. Everybody else is getting left behind. The group of 5 schools are going to get left behind because those kids are going to leave. Tulane is going to lose kids to Duke for $4 million a year. Duke. So if Duke can spend $4 million a year, imagine what these other schools can spend. That's why the kids in the SEC are leaving. Why wouldn't you? I'll sit here and be honest. If this was legal when I was coming out, and I'm sitting in my dorm room in Knoxville, Tennessee, with a sling on my shoulder, and when Oklahoma called my cell phone and said, "Come on out here," if they would have gave me money, you damn right I would have went. I'd have been stupid not to. Half these kids, that's what people don't realize. They're trying to say, well, all this, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Good for them for being able to try to help give their parents electricity. Good for them to be able to try to help pay off a basketball player in Indiana paid off his sister's student loans. Like whatever they want to do with the money, that's their deal. That's why they're leaving. It ain't because of conference. It ain't because of who they play, the schedule that the other team plays. They're leaving because they're actually being able to make money on themselves now. That's the only reason they're leaving. So the level playing field is only for the top 10 to 12 spenders, in my opinion.
Chuck?
I played at a Division III level, so I didn't have all that. Of course, I played when it was black and white. Okay, it was a long time ago. My experiences are different than Jonathan's, so I'm going to try and put myself in Jonathan's in the contemporary times, not the old times. I agree with him about the getting paid and everything. The question that is what is happening is in the 3-4 years ago, the SEC was so dominant that they could go 4 deep with number 1 draft picks. And they, so when this comes, through the dominant period that they operated in 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So when you now have a chance to go freely to another place, when you're 4th or 5th on the depth chart, let's say fourth, you're not getting paid. You're just not getting paid like that guy 1, 2, or even 3, but 4 not getting paid. So you guys on the back depth chart are going, I want to play and I want to get paid. Those are the two things. And I say, go for it. Well, what I can only say what is happening is those guys are going, those guys are going to the Big Ten, the ACC, the Big 12. Most of them, not all of them, most of them have left up until this year, have gone to other conferences. So where other conferences are saying, thank you for recruiting them, we got them now. Now, the other thing is that this year in watching this, there's a lot more SEC transfers to other SEC schools. So the guys are staying in the SEC. So this decline that I see, it may be bellying out and then starting back up because you're not having as much leaving. Because I sit on 24/7 transfer portal, and I just every day and I'm looking at where they're going and who's available.
It is kind of cool to see that, though. I ain't gonna lie, it's fun to watch that.
Yes, and so I see more SEC people staying within the SEC. So okay, that to me helps the SEC, and then maybe in a year or two, the SEC is back to being the dominant conference. So to answer your question, these guys, the guys that are third and fourth are true freshmen who have a delusional opinion of their ability, and they're not playing. They're going to want to go play and get paid.
And I think that
well, another thing we're seeing a lot of is
I do think, and I said this the other day, and I know that you guys disagreed with me, and Jonathan was vehemently disagreed with me, but I think within the next 12 months, they're going to at least have some guidelines in place to do the transfer portal differently, and the way that the money, a salary cap or something is going to be in effect.
They already have a salary cap. It's $20 million, but you can't cap a collective. You can't cap a third party. That's the difference. You can't cap Jim Haslam, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, helping people out in Knoxville. The school does have a cap. The school has $20 million. But your collectives, your local businesses, your whatever else you want, there's no cap on that. And you can't cap that. You can't. That's the thing. So these guys are getting their money, but it doesn't necessarily have to come from the collective. It's all how you put it in writing, how you get around the loophole. But yes, they do have a salary cap already. The transfer portal. What have we seen every year? Them get more lenient and lenient and lenient. So why are they going to tighten now?
Right.
They won't. The only thing they may do, which I did like what Sarkisian said, I did like this, that don't let the portal open in December because that does hurt bowl games. I 100% agree with that. I do think that's wrong. They do it then. Do it the Monday after the national championship game. So January 20, whatever. Okay. Leave it open. Then push back everybody's spring practice to make it and then have the spring game in June. Because guess what? All that is OTAs like the NFL.
I do have an addition. That's brilliant, Jonathan, and I agree.
When Sarkisian said that, I was like, that makes sense.
Right.
Because now you have literally turned these kids into knowing what NFL OTAs are, what they're like, time frame wise, and then you get, as soon as OTAs are over, you got 3 or 4 weeks, and then camp starts.
Right. I think the reason why it's open as early as it is because it gives another player time to get early January and get into a new semester at a college. Most are on that.
I agree. It's just the hard part is look at Duke the other night. Quarterback's not playing.
Right.
That's a whole different deal. I've heard that they pushed him out, but whatever. How do you do? You know what I'm saying? It hurts the bowl games. The only thing I could see them doing, regulation-wise, because they're not going to tighten, because all they've done every year is loosen. I think they could say, all right, the portal's open. but you can't leave your school until the semester's over. You got to finish out the season before you. I can see them doing that, but I mean, every year they've gotten looser. Every year they've allowed more and more wild west for NIL. So why would they tighten? I don't see why they would.
Right. And see,
I agree. I do think we need that. I'm with you. We need it. I don't think they do it though.
Right. Okay. John Taylor had asked a question about the college football playoff seeding after the season. You know, the playoff seeding. Will they reform it in any way, shape, or form?
I think they're going to vote. There's been a lot of talk about it. It has to be unanimous, if I'm not mistaken, to change it, I think.
Which basically means the SEC and Big Ten commissioner tells everybody what to do.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it only needs one thing, and this is my opinion. If we're going to stay with just 12 teams, hold on, take that off. We'll get that in a second. Because then I'm going to see it, and my brain's going to go. If you're only going to stay with 12 teams, then you seed them in the order that they are. 1 through 4 are the top 4. But in doing that, you still got to play the conference championship games because your conference champions are still guaranteed in, just like now. But they're not guaranteed a bye. So then that would take Boise State, Arizona State, and Clemson and make them 10, 11, 12, not 2, 3, or not 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
So that's the way that I think it would do it. I think that would fix a lot of people griping at all.
Well,
and then, you know, but you're still going to have some people upset because then you're going to go, okay, well, before conference championship weekend, it was Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Penn State, and then Notre Dame, which cannot be in the top 5 or the top 4. So then it would have been who was 6? It would have been Ohio State or somebody, whatever. But then they're going to go, okay, well, Penn State got beat though. Are they still there? Well, they deserve to be there. It's wherever they're ranked, in my opinion.
For John Taylor, is that I take him back, John. Dr. John, I take you back to baseball, first year, expanded playoffs, where all the teams that had a bye and ended up being off for a week lost, went 1-12, and teams that played right away ended up moving on to the World Series. Well, we just had 4 byes lose in the quarterfinals. All the byes have lost their game. So I think when baseball had that happen, they kind of tweaked a little bit so there'd be not such a long layoff. And so they addressed that because you don't want these teams that earned a bye to be out of the playoffs abruptly. And I think that, just like what Jonathan said, the playoff committee will come in and start to talk about how can we tweak, how can we get better seating, how can we get better with this bye stuff, and then with all the ideas that Jonathan has just come up, I think you can't go wrong if you did something like that. So, but they'll come in and talk. Doesn't mean they'll do anything right.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, it's got to be unanimous, which we all know getting a unanimous vote is hard.
And so,
with academia, okay,
so
not academia. They're slow and on different levels.
But before, we can't get off here without, again, Lane put his foot in his mouth last week. But what he said last night or night before, one of the funniest things I have ever heard. He did it live on national television when the reporter asked him about his quarterback play sometime, I guess, in the third quarter. One of the funniest things I have ever heard. Jonathan, I'll turn it over to you or Chuck. One of you kind of go through it because it's hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny because he did it in the fourth quarter and after the game. And said, maybe my quarterback can file some papers and come back next year, and just grinned. because they have changed. But this right here is also why I'm telling you there won't be no regulations on NIL and transfer portal, because every year all they've done is loosen and say go to the Wild West. Now that JUCO and NAI does not count, it's going to be tough to the people that it hurts the most are high school kids now. Because what's going to happen is if I'm a college coach and I've got player A and player B, and I'm trying to recruit them both. Player A is a 17-year-old high school kid. Don't really know what he's going to turn into. Player B went to JUCO for 3 years, redshirted and then played 2. Right? So now he's 21. Then he went to school C for 2 years. Now he's 23, but he's only going to be a junior. I'm probably going player B because he's a 23-year-old. He knows the college life for 5 years. He knows what it's like to go to class. He knows what it's like for scheduling, for practices, for travels. Them doing this with JUCO has really hurt the high school side of recruiting and a lot more kids. Unless you're the blue chip, 5-star, blah, 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 ESPN top 300. Well, there's more than 300 kids that get signed each year. If you're not in the top 300, there's a really high likelihood you got to go JUCO now. Just what it is. And that sucks. It's not the kid's fault. And it's going to take a school taking a chance on a high school kid rather than they have to take a high school kid. That's the part that sucks.
I wish I could gather all parents with players and talk about the merits of playing Division III, because this is all filtering down, but it doesn't get down to Division III because junior college and NIA, you're having to have your academics in order and be prepared to do academics and a rigorous school. Most of the Division III are built like that in the old days, So there are merits, but you're going to have to go away from home. If you're talking about kids in Haywood County, is that look to Division III. Great brand of football. When you're out there on Saturday afternoons playing 4 or 5 years, mostly it's 4 years, and you don't have the stuff that you have right now in Division I, but it is filtering down to Division II, 1AA, so on and so forth. But it's not to Division III, and I don't think it gets there. If a kid desires to go to division, to play college football, I beg his mom and dad to look at Division III, sit down with coach, and be willing to leave the county, to go away and experience life in a different place at a Division III level. I guarantee you it will be the best decision you made and a rewarding one at that. But for right now, we're talking about Division I, and this is reality in Division I.
Yeah. But if you remember, you go back, Chuck, if you remember the conversation with Coach Pfeiffer on here when he was on with us last week, and Coach Pfeiffer says, look, we are having to make decisions. We're not recruiting that many high school kids now because we're having to deal.
It goes back to it's all about if they already know routine, if they already know what it's like to have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class versus a Tuesday, Thursday class. They already know what it's like to do to travel for an away game. That's not just get on an activity bus and travel 25, 35 minutes. They know what it's like to have to go stay in a hotel room and have night meetings the night before. Wake up, breakfast, meetings, walkthrough, all those things. You're going to choose that 90% of the time. It sucks is what I'm getting at. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying it sucks because like John Taylor said.
Yeah, I get it.
The COVID year counted, not counting against their eligibility, was all for high school recruits. Scholarship maximums weren't increased, and so many kids worthy of scholarships didn't get them. Same thing will likely happen with this JUCO. It's 100% correct. They're either going to have to go to Division III, which now starts their 4-year clock, or they can go to JUCO and then not start their clock.
Right.
And that's the thing.
Jonathan and David, and I want to add this because I don't want people to sit there. If little Chucky here can play Division I, then I'm not looking at Division III. I'm looking at trying to figure out what my opportunities are at Division One. Now, all the transfer portals and the NIL, but all this stuff where like I'm that borderline. If not 1AA, then I have to look down to Division Two. And so my opportunities may be missed at Division One, but I'm sure if I am Division One talent, I get scooped up by a D2. The players that have not developed yet, have not matured yet, that are truly Division Three, and maybe the borderline guy on the Division Two, those are your Division Three players. They're not even, you're not even in the mix and discussion with Division One, 1AA, or Division Two.
You're right. You got it. They have to come to that realization, and that's where that's hard.
And you just get your parents and tell them the opportunities. There's 452 Division III schools all over the United States. Where you want to go?
And to answer this question,
so Michael, let me ask a question. Let me ask you two a question. And I'm not talking about Division One, or and when I say Division One, I'm not even talking about the like the SoCon and the FCS and all that stuff. I'm talking about like D2. Like, are you going to see better quality football players playing in the South Atlantic Conference?
No, I don't.
Okay, I think because you're getting that JUCO player for 4 years, he comes on board. You're going to get some transfers that are dropping down from 1AA to D2. Tony Anise on his team had 4 D1. The big running back they had came from Washington State.
Your powerhouses, yes. Spread out, no.
Okay. All right.
I totally
agree.
That's fair.
But spread out, no, because once again, you got to understand what goes through a lot of people's heads. And I saw this even when I was still playing. It's a perception. It's a perception that they're not willing to accept.
I'm not going to mention the name, but let me tell you how Chuck, I don't know if you remember this. There, when Jonathan's class had signed initially, there were a whole gaggle of them down at the U.S. Army All-American game from just the Tennessee guys. And they put them on the cover of some magazine and the #1 recruiting class and all this stuff. And like the second day of fall workouts, there was this kid, and he was a great kid. He was infectious. He was funny. Gave himself this crazy nickname because if I say it, people are going to know who I'm talking about, so I'm not going to do that. And like the second day that the bullets started flying, he understood, I don't need to be here. I got to go. And he left and went to a lower tier Big Ten school before. Did he make it through fall camp, Jonathan?
Yeah, he made it through camp, but not long.
Yeah, and he ended up at a lower tier Big Ten school at that point, and played there some. But so the perception, when you talk about, I say that because when Jonathan's talking about the perception and then the reality starts. And Coach Matthews about I've asked this to Chuck. I don't know that the Division III schools survive financially. I don't know. It depends on the school.
I think they can. It just, once again, you're right. Depends on school and funding. I want to talk about this, then I got to go.
Okay.
When Coach Matthews says, do 5 card kids go to class, or are they looking for degrees? Travis Hunter, 3.98 GPA, anthropology. Myron Roll, Florida State, 5-star kid. He is a literal neurosurgeon. I don't want to hear all this crap about going to class, not going to class. There's way more people that go to school that are not on an athletic scholarship that don't go to class because they're there to party. They're there to smoke dope. They're there to drink and go out and be a bouncer at a bar and all this crap. The athletes are the ones that actually go to class. I'll say it that way. I was one of them. We had expectations. yes, recruits go to class. The average student is the ones that don't go to class, wasting mom and dad's money.
I know you went to class because I kept a check on you.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I'm passionate about that one because athletes get a quote unquote bad rep for not going to class. Okay,
I'm proud of that.
I can tell you this: there's a lot more athletes that graduate ratio wise, not necessarily numbers, because there's a lot more non-athletes at the college than athletes by numbers, but ratio wise, I would be willing to be a betting man that more ratio athletes graduate than non-athletes.
Question before we get off the question: are we going to have good football games, or are we just going to go through the motions this week to get to the final two?
No, I think they're going to be polar opposites. Personally, barn burner defensively, and then firework galore is what I think. Which I'm here for both of them. I think they're both going to be fun to watch because I think both teams match up with each other so well. Really good defensive teams, really hard to stop offensive teams.
Well, I'm a sick puppy. I watch bad games, good games. I watched Liberty play today, and then I thought the quarterfinals were exciting, and I mean, very exciting. And I'm anticipating the semis to be the same and the national championship. And you know what? One of these games, it might be a blowout. Might be. That's just the way it goes. But all the teams, Jonathan said it last week, all the teams that got in deserve to be in.
I just think the ranking needs to be adjusted a little. But I think the teams that were in all deserve to be there. It's just about the ranking way.
Yeah.
That's all.
And so everybody have a good week.
Right.
We'll be back. We'll be back. Everybody have a good week. I'm gonna go take me some more medicine. And oh my God, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna be in bed before 8:00. You guys have the best night. Everybody, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all. Have a great night. God bless. You're crazy, Chuck.